Okay, guys, very good evening to all of you. I'm audible, guys, to everyone.
Yes,
Okay, so yeah, I think till yesterday we have covered. Okay, so I think we have covered the basic charts. Okay, and I hope that you got both the files for like day one and then day two for at a single place. Okay, because I think I have uploaded on the same drive. Okay, so the file for the second day as well. Along with that, guys, let me share with you like a new data set, new data file. As I think already informed you that in today's session we are going to talk about something called as a DEX formulas. Okay, so DEX stands for Data Analysis Expression, and since our first chapter is completed, that is understanding the basic charts. So I think from today we are going to start. We are going to dive into the second like a chapter, and that is understanding DEX formulas. Okay. Now, definitely, guys, there are so many formulas are there or the functions are there which makes our life easier. And definitely, guys, because of those like DAX formulas, we are able to perform the advanced analysis like a task. Okay, so let's say if I talk you about if I take let's say one difference between the courses or the Power BI courses of, or let's say the Power BI videos which are available on like a YouTube. And if I talk about let's say this particular course or any other like a course related conducted in such a way. So I think we also started just now, Pragati. So in that case, guys, there's just one difference that in this like a course or in the live lectures, we are going like a step by step, and we are considering something like DEX formula as very important because uh, with the DEX formula, guys, you can actually able to answer a lot of questions, a lot of is definitely not possible to answer just with the help of like a charts. Okay, so till now, guys, with the help of basic charts we understood that okay, how to get let's say some basic insights or let's say the information about a data set. But now, guys, today I will show you and that's why I actually created some like a kind of a questionnaire. Okay, so that we can understand like more about the DEX formula and even more about the importance of DEX formulas, like why we actually require it. Okay, so now, guys, let me share this data set with you first. Okay, so all of you can try to download this data set. So I think okay, if you even refresh your the drive link which I have shared with you, so we'll get this like a new data set over there. Okay, although I am also sharing this in a chat box for everyone. So what you guys can do, you guys can simply try to let's say download this particular data set. And then, guys, alongside I will let me also share my like a presentation is like a screen, so that I can actually tell you that what kind of like a knowledge, what kind of things we can actually perform by using this DEX formulas. Okay, so now, guys, let's say yeah, till now with the basic charts. So if I talk about, guys, different types of analytics. Okay, so I think on the very first day I actually asked this question that what do you mean by the data analysis? Okay, and definitely like a few of you, or like even yeah, definitely many of you are like able to understand that part and able to answer that question. That data analysis means getting the insights from a data or getting like more information from a data for, let's say, making further decision and prediction. But now, guys, there's a very important thing that there are different types of analytic data analysis we have, or there are different type of like analytics we actually have over here. And in that type, if I try to talk about, if I just try to take that names, okay. So the very first type of data analysis is what we call the descriptive analysis. Okay, so I think the KPI cards which we have created like yesterday. So that is actually about the descriptive analytics, like what are all the information are actually what are the basic information, or what are the key performance indicators of our data set that actually describe our data set. Okay, so that is what we call the descriptive analytics. Then the second type of the analytics, guys, is what we call the exploratory analytics. What we actually perform by creating like a different charts, like by plotting different relationship. Like if I talk about, guys, there are 6 or 7 charts we have developed, and we understood that let's say the relation between reason and cells, then the relation between reason and category, then we understand the relation between cells and category, then we understand the relation between cells and subcategory. Okay, so in a similar way, guys, if we want, we can even try to understand the relation between profit and category. Okay, we even understood the relation between city, category, and sales. Okay, we also understood the relation between year and like a sales, how the trend is going on. So when we try to understand the relationship between the columns, okay, so there are 3 kind of analysis we can have, like univariate, bivariate, and multivariate analysis. So when you try to understand, when you try to examine 2 categories or 2 columns together, then it called as a bivariate analysis. Similarly, when we try to analyze, or when we try to get the relation between columns together, then it called as a multivariate analysis. Okay, so now this whole thing, guys, is what we call the exploratory analysis. Okay, so till now, guys, with the help of chart, with the help of card, these 2 types of analytics is what we have discovered. Okay, so we discuss about something called as a descriptive analytics, and then we talk about something called as a exploratory analytics. Okay, so we develop a chart, we understand the relationship between the variables. So that is what we call the exploratory analytics. Now, apart from, guys, these 2 type of analytics, there are 3 more different types of analytics we have. And the most important one, which is like third one, is what we call the diagnostic analytics. Okay, now when it comes to diagnostic analytics, guys, so with the help of exploratory analytics, maybe you're getting this idea that from, let's say, the south region, we are getting less sell. Okay, or let's say that for maybe any product. Okay, so let's say for one of the subcategory, we are getting less profit. Okay, now when I got this particular knowledge, when I got this particular information, okay, now what we can do for with this particular information. Okay, so let's say, definitely, guys, let's say if I'm running any business, and if I'm getting like a loss, if I'm not getting a profit from that particular business, so I definitely want to understand that what may be the problem. Okay, what may be the issue, why we are not able to let's say make that kind of a profit which we want to make. Okay, and that is where, guys, the diagnostic analytics comes into the picture. So the diagnostic analytics actually help us to understand that if anything happens. Okay, so let's say if there's a if anything is happening, let's say if there's a less sell from a particular reason, so diagnostic analytics help us to understand the reason behind it. Like diagnostic analytics is able to answer the question of why. Okay, like why there's a less sell from let's say the south region, or why there's less sell from less profit from let's say the binders or anything. Okay, so that why thing, guys, can be answered by using something called as a diagnostic analytics. Okay, and that is where, guys, and to answer that question, that definitely the data set, guys, which we initially have, that only help us with the to get that information. But let's say if I want to know more about it, but if I want to go beyond that information, because I collect the information, but now I want to understand that how I can proceed. Okay, what should be my next step? Now, in order to make the correct step, in order to take the correct future, we need to answer this question why. Okay, and that is where, guys, this diagnostic analytics comes into the picture, and that is where we require these let's say the advanced formulas called dex or data analysis expressions. Okay, so for that, guys, now I'm taking this new data set, and I have created this questionnaire over here. So we'll try to understand this questionnaire, and we'll try to answer this questionnaire actually through our formulas. So I will show you with this one case study. Okay, I will give you for your practice, I will give you one more similar to what I'm going to take today in today's session. I'm going to give you similar to that, so that you can also let's say practice the DEX formula. So now, guys, this is a very important a problem statement we have. So if I talk about the purpose of the data set, so this is a simple exercise that captures real world characteristics of digital payment transactions and will help students to understand how suspicious and fraudulent behaviors can be identified using the data. Okay, so in a transaction or in a digital transaction, actually, we need to identify. We need to actually make a kind of a model. Now we need to create a kind of a report to understand the, let's say, the behavior of the fraudulent transaction. Okay, so we need to create a kind of a report or kind of a model which is capable enough to capture any suspicious or identify any fraudulent transactions, okay, or fraudulent behavior. Okay, so the data set presented in this exercise is entirely fictional and does not represent real individuals. Okay, so means definitely, guys, this data set is actually I have created for you guys, like for a learning purpose, or for all my students, for all my different classes where I'm taking this Power BI lectures. So it's definitely a fictional data, because I try to put lot of variety into that, so that we can practice each and everything which is possible. Definitely organization or actual real data set, it has been artificially created solely for the educational purpose, correct? Now there are a few questions, guys. Now I even try to create these questions so that it will be easier for us, or definitely for you also, to understand that how we can proceed for towards any problem statement. So the questions for so there are four questions I have listed down over here. So the first question is, which users show repeated high value transaction within short interval? What pattern do you observe across transaction type? Okay, now, guys, before going through these questions, okay, so I think I can read out these questions, but I hope that now, guys, before going through these questions, and before going through this a boundary conditions, just you tell me. Okay, so you have this data set. Okay, so I have, these are the column, guys, of my data set which I have created. So let's say if you have these columns, and if you want to identify or the fraudulent behavior, according to, let's say, guys, you, what may be the general scenario, or what may be those scenarios where you can actually suspect that this can be the fraudulent transaction. Okay, like let me give you one example. Let's say if there's a heavy transaction or like a huge amount like a transaction happened in a midnight. Okay, usually let's say between 12 to 5, then I can suspect that transaction as a fraudulent one. Okay, now in a similar way, guys, okay, so this is just one example I have given to you. Now, in a similar way, what do you think that by looking into this data set, according to you, like what do you think that can be the you can actually identify it as a suspicious behavior or suspicious transaction? Yeah,
Number
tell
of
me.
OTP and PIN attempts.
Yeah,
Number of OTP and PIN attempts.
number of
OTP or PIN attempts. PIN attempts. Authentication.
okay, OTP means wrong OTP. If someone is trying to. Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay, okay, fine. So I think. Authentication attempt. Okay, so
Yeah,
multiple attempts of like authentication. Definitely, you are not having like the correct OTP, or you're not getting the OTP on your mobile number. You are trying to take from someone else. Correct. Okay. Anything else?
Different devices than usual of that user.
Exact devices. Okay. Device type means. Okay. Anything else?
transaction amount,
Okay. Transaction amount if it is let's say too high. Yep. Correct.
timestamp,
It can be.
Unusual
Uh,
location.
Location. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. So how we can check with the location?
So unusual location rather than his home place. So from where he will be logging in
like remote
regularly.
location access. Like you have your phone at one place, but
Suddenly moving from different locations. So moving from one country to other country like that.
Exactly, exactly.
So
Great, great. Okay, so exactly the same. Okay, it means that you guys are definitely better or better than me. So correct. Okay, so these are the even the conditions which I have noted down over here. Now, exactly the same thing we have to create. Okay, like you guys mentioned that high transaction value. So we can just try to go through the entire data set. So according to me, because I go through the entire data set and then check that this may be this may be the highest transaction. So if the transaction is above, like let's say $4,000, then I can consider it's like kind of a suspicious one. Although guys, there's a one general way also, because I think what I'm doing is let's say according to this data set, I'm taking this particular value as 4,000. Okay, but definitely in a real world scenario or in some other like scenario, this number could be different. Okay, so in that case, what we can maybe think of, we can think of like 3x of overall average, or 4x of overall average. Okay, so four times greater than let's say the average amount of four times greater than yeah, so four times greater than the average amount, I can take it as a suspicious one. Okay, so yeah, definitely your first boundary condition are perfectly fine, that high transaction value. Then transaction by same user within 15 to 20 minutes. So more than two transactions by same user within 15 to 20 minutes. Transaction originating from different cities. Okay, so this is what you guys mentioned, and this is correctly this is perfectly correct. That let's say if I'm right now staying in Delhi, or if my current location from a longer period of time is Delhi, and then so at let's say at 7 right now I am in Delhi, and then I made some transaction, and then from the same device you observe that heavier amount of transaction happened in just 1 hour, and then the location is Mumbai. Okay, so definitely in just 1 hour it is quite impossible to reach from Delhi to Mumbai without like with any mode of transportation. And in that case that can be like flagged as a suspicious behavior. Okay, transaction occurring between 12 to 5. Okay, so this is and that are high value repeated in a quick succession. So multiple conditions we can try to put it over here, so that can also be suspicious behavior. And then transaction related to the gaming, betting, or high risk digital services. Okay, so I think this is the only column which you guys probably missed. Uh, that let's say if yeah, if we are if there's a heavy transaction happening on the betting app, so that can be also taken as a suspicious one, or the fraudulent one. Okay, so these are the five boundary conditions we have taken, guys. Now, generally, what happens? So, let's say if like let me even share my experience that. when I shared these boundary conditions with my team, so many of them actually come out this idea that this can be solved just only by using the Python code. Okay. Now again, I'm not against like the coding language, because definitely with the Python this can be this all problem can be like solved quickly, and definitely can be or like the code can be written to for all these boundary conditions. But again, the learners or the one who are not expert in the coding, okay, or who don't who don't want to try like that coding part, or maybe from any other background where the coding is not required. Now, definitely, guys, all these boundary conditions or any of these boundary conditions, not only this five, let's say if I make even 10 boundary conditions over here for making a prediction, or for making for let's say because with this, guys, we are just trying to making ourselves sure that which particular transaction I can flag it as a suspicious like a transaction, or maybe the fraudulent transaction. Okay, so now in that case, guys, even this all boundary conditions can even be solved by using the Power BI, and that is only possible because in the Power BI there's something called as a DAX formula we have. So we can write the expressions for all these boundary conditions. And not only this, if there are, let's say I told you that if there are 10 more, so all those for all that like conditions, in order to understand all these conditions, we can actually write the formula into the Power BI. Okay, so now guys, you already have this data set. What we all need to do is we need to open the Power BI, and we need to solve, we need to try out each of these boundary conditions one by one. Let's see that how it works, and where we need to create a columns, and where we just need a single number. Okay, and definitely, guys, I will go beyond these like five boundary conditions. We'll try to, let's say, take some like multiple conditions, and even try to create maybe the kind of a category over there. Okay, so let's try to do that. Okay, so let's first try to take one by one step, and first try to understand that how DEX formula is working, what are the importance of like a different functions over there, okay, and how we can actually approach towards any problem, okay. So just open this blank report, and then just try to import this data file, guys, from your like a device.
So your screen is in PPT.
Yeah. So I hope, guys, that by this time you are able to understand like this importing and like a loading thing. Okay, and till now, guys, I didn't take any like a such data set where there are a lot of cleaning and transformation is required. That we are going to discuss in the next chapter. So right now, even this data is perfectly clean. But even after that, after loading the data, we'll go into the table view and just try to check it out that what are all the informations we have, and just try to cross check that if there's any incorrect or any inappropriate information we have. Okay. So first, guys, directly just try to directly load the data. Okay, so these are all the columns we have. That is fine. Now I can go into the table view and just try to check like one or two columns. So if I talk about the timestamp, I can see that okay, the data type is correct. It's a date time, okay, because the date and time both the things are given into that timestamp. And actually, guys, we require both the things, okay, because I need to actually extract. Okay, so because if I get the R, then only I can understand that whether there is any transaction happening between let's say 12 to 5. Okay, that is like one of the boundary condition we have. Similarly, guys, you can see that what are the different payment method are there. So there are four different five different payment methods are there: credit card, debit card, net banking, UPI, and wallet. We have a transaction amount over here, which is in a decimal number. Merchant category, which is text, device type, which is like yeah, different device types are there. User location, it is again text, that is fine. Transaction time in seconds. Okay, so I think this is again going to be a very important column. So like 34 seconds it takes to for a transaction, 99 seconds, 11 seconds. Okay. Authentication attempt. Now this column is again, guys, very important. So you can see 1, 2, 3. These are the unique numbers are there. Transaction status and fraud trigger reason. Okay, so we have even one more column over here where there are three different unique reasons are listed for like for a fraud. Okay, so this is one column where they even just taken out some they just try to flag randomly, or maybe based on something they try to take it as a label it as a fraud transaction. Okay, like you can see one that abnormally fast transaction. Then second category is multiple authentication attempt, and the third category is multiple authentication attempt and abnormal fast transaction both. Okay, so these are the three categories inside this. Okay, so I think if I go down, then probably I can get somewhere. Yeah. Okay. So fine, guys, this is like a data set we have. Now into this data set, we have to start with our first boundary condition. So let me do one more thing, guys, that let me share that PPT with you in that same drive, so that you guys can also read it out. And let's say if anywhere I want that you should solve this question, or maybe try to solve this question by yourself, so you can even try that out. Okay, so let me share that data that PPT also with you in that shared drive. So so you can refresh it, guys, and check that it will come with the same name, module 1 dataset. Okay, so just try to refresh it and check that it will come with that name, module 1 dataset. Okay, so yeah, guys, let me know that if everyone of you on the same page. Okay, all of us on the same page. Anyone who is having any difficulty, like anywhere, like I think we have not done anything much till now. So I can definitely catch up with you if anyone is like falling short. Yeah, I think everyone of us on the same page. Imported the data set. Lakshmi, again, on the same drive, I think I told you guys yesterday also that everything will be updated into the same drive, the link which I have already shared with you. So I think from the same drive itself, you got the data for today. Okay, so in that drive itself, you'll get that what I can say, the PPT as well. Okay, so drive which I have shared even in the WhatsApp group also. So I think this is the drive, guys. Just save it, yeah. Okay, just bookmark it, because every time you just need to refresh it. Okay, you don't need to okay, so you can see if you open that drive, you'll get the uh, first day note, the second day note, data sets, and currently the PPT. Okay. So yeah, fine. I think guys, now everyone of us on the same page. Already shared, Pukila. Okay. So now guys, let's start with the first boundary condition which we have over here. Now my first boundary condition is according to like this the data the boundary conditions which like I have prepared. So into that guys, the first boundary condition which we have, let me also let me put it on a full screen share mode so that I don't need to change it again and again. Yeah. So if I talk about it, guys, so my first boundary condition is to check the high transaction value, then to check that transaction happen more than two times within 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So these are the things we have. So let's me first write, guys, the first boundary condition over here. So let me just open the Power BI. And now, guys, what we need to do is just try to understand, guys, that now you need to understand that, guys, somewhere you have to check that somewhere we need to create a new column. Okay, so let me show you guys the example. Then when you come on to your report view, and in the report view, guys, let's say if you click on this modeling, okay. So on the modeling, you'll get like multiple options over there in that calculation. Okay. Now calculation is what, guys, is what I call it as a DAX, data analysis expression, because by writing the calculation means by writing the formula, we either sometime trying to create a, let's say, a new value, like let's say in yesterday data set, guys, we have the profit column. Now let's assume that if I want to get to know what is the total average profit which has actually happened throughout the last 4 years. Okay. Now in that case, guys, I don't need to create any new column over there. I just require one single value. I just require one single output. Okay. Now, when you require one single output, then you have to click on this new measure. Okay. So new measure means whenever you just want one single output. Okay. So just the average profit value or average sales value, anything like that. So when you require just one single output, you have to click on this new measure. Okay. In the Power BI, guys, Power BI is a so powerful tool that, let's say, if you know about the statistics, so even you can calculate the 50th percentile of any data, 75th percentile of your data. So any statistical number can be calculated over here. Okay. So my point is that whenever you need to calculate or whenever you just need one value into your output, you have to use this like calculation called new measure. Now, sometimes, guys, like let's say in this case, I need to check that there are multiple transactions happening over here. So you can see that we have this transaction amount in like rupees. Now the multiple transactions are happening over here, guys. Now I need to check that if there's any transaction which is greater than 4,000, I will label that transaction as a fraud. And if there's a transaction value is less than 4,000, then it is fine. Then it is normal. Okay. Now, in that case, guys, I need to label each and every transaction. It means that the first transaction, I need to label it as normal. The second transaction, I need to label as normal. Then wherever the transaction value comes out to be, let's say, greater than 4,000, I need to label it like this 5,306. Okay. Now this transaction I need to label as like a fraud. So now guys, over here, I need to do the labeling for each and every row. So whenever you need to do the labeling for each and every row, then you need to create a new column. Okay, so this is the funda guys, which we need to understand at the very first end, that when you try to do the calculation, you need to understand, you actually need to understand this part, that when you require to create a new measure and when you require to create a new column. Okay, because this is a very common question guys, which a learner actually confuse a lot and actually ask so many times. And I will show you guys that what actually happened. Let's say if anywhere I require to create a column and then I try to create a measure over there, then we will definitely get an error. So people sometimes not able to understand that they got the formula onto the chat GPT, or they, let's say I share it, and so you got the formula that okay, this is the formula we have to write. But let's say if you need to write that formula inside a column and you're writing that formula inside a measure, you're not getting the output. You'll not get the output. Okay. So don't be confused. Just try to understand first that like for what purpose you are creating it. Okay, if the purpose is clear, then you can understand that okay, whether I need to create a new column or whether I need to create a new measure. Now in this case, I want to create a new column because definitely for each transaction I need to check that whether that transaction is a fraud one or whether it's a normal one. Okay, so I have to just click on this new column. Okay, now into this new column guys, and even let me tell you that why I'm telling this, like the purpose thing should be clear, because guys, when we trying to write the formula manually, then it takes a lot of time guys. It takes a lot of time and effort. And definitely guys, right now I've just added 5 boundary conditions. But in a real world scenario, let's say if you're making a tracking system or something in reality for your organization, you you just don't have 5 boundary conditions, or you just don't have to write 5 formulas. You probably need to write 50 formula a day. Now guys, if you try to write those formulas manually, it will take a lot of time. Okay, so just 5 formulas, it probably take you like 2 or 3 hours. So we don't want that. So over here guys, in a Power BI, you'll get that option. So if you're writing the formula in a correct way and with the correct definition, okay, so like if you're using your brackets properly. Okay, so guys, in the formula writing, the syntax are very important. If you're not right, if you're not closing the bracket at a correct place, if you're not using the comma at the correct place, then again you'll get an error. Okay, so if you're using all these things properly, then automatically guys, the suggestions will appear. Okay, you don't need to think much about it. Okay, definitely with the initial practice you get to know the initial function. Okay, so once you practice, let's say with the 10 or 20 formulas, then you can start with the initial function, and then automatically you can work onto the suggestion. You don't need to write manually each and every formula, because manually writing those formulas will take a lot of time. Okay, so now let me just try to increase it. And guys, I think okay, again guys, just try to write along with me, and from the very starting just try to make a use of the suggestion, so that you should not waste so much of time just for writing the formula, just for writing a single formula. Okay, so I just try to increase this size so that it should be visible to everyone. So please even guys acknowledge me that this is now visible. Let's say if I'm writing anything over here, so it is visible to everyone.
Yes.
So now guys, definitely it's a variable name. So definitely you'll not get any suggestion for writing the variable name. Now over here, I need to check that if the transaction amount is greater than 4,000, I will label it as a fraud, or otherwise normal. Okay. So now guys, there's a very clear, there's a very clear thing that if the transaction amount value is greater than 4,000. Now over here guys, since it is purely based on a condition, so you have to use the function over here called if. So there's a very straightforward function. You can see if. Now guys, as soon as I write I'm getting the suggestion over here. Okay. So if I want to use this suggestion, I don't want to write by myself. I will use tab. Okay. So let's say apart from if you require something else, so you can just select that and you can press tab. Okay. Now as soon as you press tab, you can see the formula is coming. Now guys, the best thing is that as soon as you press tab, the formula is coming, and you can see guys that what value needs to be added inside this bracket. Okay, so inside this bracket we need to put our logical test. Okay, and you can even see the definition guys. Okay, you don't need to go anywhere, you don't need like my even me for after like 4 or 5 days, you don't need to go even chat gpt, everything will be there itself. So checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if false. Okay, it means what I need to do is I just need to take my data and check that so my transaction amount is there. Okay, so guys, what is my table name? So you can see that my table name is sheet 1. You can check that in your case what is it. Okay, so if it is a sheet 1 only, so you can simply take sheet 1, and as soon as you start writing sheet 1 guys, you can see that automatically the suggestion will come, because automatically the Power BI understand that you want to select any column. Now which column I want to select? I want to select this column, which is transaction amount in INR. I will again press tab and select this. Now guys, you can see that my logical test is done. So definitely inside a logical test, what logic I want to give? I want to give the logic that if this amount is greater than 4,000. Okay, now guys, let me show you that as soon as I complete this logic test and as soon as I press comma, now it will start reflecting that okay, now your logic test is complete. Now you move on to the next parameter. Now what is the next parameter? So the next parameter is result. What is result means? Now guys, you can see that what is written over here. So I'm actually telling you guys that you don't need to go anywhere. Just try to follow this like a step over here. You can see it is written that result if true means if this condition is true, what result you want to print. Okay, now it's up to me and it's up to you guys that whether I want to print the result in a text or whether I want to print my result in a number. Like there are two things guys. Okay, so let's say if I want to print my result in a text, I can write inside an inverted comma as fraud. Okay, but if I want to print my result in number, I can take it as 1 and 0, like 1 for fraudulent, 0 for normal. Okay, so now guys, as soon as you give your output, okay, so let's say I want to continue in a number only. I will tell you the reason later on. So I will take it as 1. Now guys, this is the result, means this is what I want to show if the test is correct, means if the transaction value is greater than 4,000. Now guys, again if I press comma, now it will again show me that this parameter is completed. Now you moving on to the next parameter, result if false. Okay, means if this logical test is false, means that if the value is not greater than 4,000, then what you want to print. Okay, so if this if the amount is not greater than 4,000, then I want to print 0. That's all. Now guys, I can just close the bracket and that's it. Okay, now guys, if you just try to follow the instruction given in that formula itself, you will never get a error. Okay, you'll only get an error if you try to write anything beyond that like instruction. Okay, so you just need to use two things. One is tab, suggestion, and simply need to follow that instruction. Okay, if you try to manually write all these things, and that's the reason guys, I never I never say that you need to remember it, because since you're not writing it, so there's no chance of like remembering it. Okay, so always just try to know the first function, and for that guys, I will even share one complete PDF with you that will actually where I actually created a cheat sheet for all my learners. So there are around 50 DAX formulas. So I will give you that like a cheat sheet where you can just able to understand that like over there it is written that what is the purpose of if, what is the purpose of, let's say, this function. So all the things are actually listed over there. You just need to go through it once and you're able to remember it from your practice itself. Okay, so now guys, with this our first boundary condition is done. Okay, so we got to know that if there's anyone who are like making a transaction of more than 4,000, then I will flag them as a fraud, otherwise normal. Now as soon as I enter it, as soon as you press enter, the new column will be created. So you can see guys that a new column will be created over here on the right side. You can see that new column. And if you want to check that what are the values inside that new column, you can again go in the table view, and you can see at the extreme right side you can see that column. So definitely everywhere guys there's a 0, but you'll find some 1 in between. Okay, so wherever the transaction is greater than let's say yeah, you can see some 1 in between. Okay, so yeah, definitely wherever the transaction is greater than 4,000, in that case we are having 1, otherwise definitely it's 0. Okay, is it clear guys to everyone? I think the first formula is very like easy to create. Yeah, every one of you guys on the same page created the formula. Anyone
Sir, can you
chasing
repeat
that? Which step I need to repeat, Dipendra?
from starting for the this rapidly?
No, so that's why I open it now. Just try it out. And as I told you that just take a suggestions, whatever coming when you start writing the formula, you're getting the suggestions. Just use that suggestion by using the tab. Okay.
I've created this new column, but I've not changed that name. It's a column only. How to change that column name to a high value flag?
So
Like
when you start writing the formula at
uh,
the starting only it is coming as column. You can
yeah.
over there you can just try to make it. You can try to take some other name over there.
After creating column, how to change it?
No, then again open it. Then again open it and then just go over here and edit it.
Okay,
Editing
okay,
editing can be done at any time.
okay. Within the formula only, I have to change.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Done, guys, for everyone. Yeah, everyone, guys, on the same page. Okay, great. Now, guys, now let's go ahead with the second boundary condition where I want to create. I want to check with respect to the time. Again, guys, I want to just take it as 0 and 1 only. So if the transaction is happened, let's say between 12 to 5, I will take it as I will label it as let's say fraud, or I will label it as 1. And if the transaction happened, let's say Vaishali, greater than 4,000, I think I didn't yeah, just use that greater than symbol over here. So yeah, if the transaction happened between like a 12 to 5, so I will consider or I will label it as 1. Otherwise, I will label it as like a 0, like a normal one. So now as for that, let's see that what we can do in that like a case in that scenario. So now again guys, just try to again we require a new column because again we have to check this for each and every like a row for each and every like a transaction. Now the very first thing guys that but right now guys we don't have that R column. Okay, so if you try to look at into your data set guys, okay, so I can definitely try to create that boundary condition, it is fine. it is very much similar to what we have created just now. Okay, so we have created this high value flag. So the same thing, guys, we can create, and this can be created very easily over here. Okay, but the problem is that for creating this, we already have this transaction amount, means the column which is required. But for creating the next column, guys, which is which actually depends upon the R. So for creating that column, guys, we don't have the we require something called as a R, but we don't have it over here. Now, in that case, guys, what we need to do is, in that case, we need to actually extract, we need to find out the R from this column, because in the timestamp, guys, we have the date and we have the R as well. We have the time as well. Now, definitely, guys, if it is written 230, it means that it is actually about 8 p.m. Okay, so 8, 3 and 0 second. Okay. So we need to extract this 20 from here. We need to extract this 12 from here. We need to extract this 8 from here. Okay, so that is what we require. Now for that, guys, in a Power BI, there's a formula called there's a function called R. Now that function is what we can use over here. Okay. Now for that, guys, again, I can just go into this new column function. Okay, because I want to create exactly a new column where I just require the R. I can just click on that new column. Now in this new column, guys, again, I can try to just expand it so that it should be visible to everyone. I can just take a new column name as R. Now I can use this function called R. And I can pass, guys, you can see that again, as soon as you write that formula, as soon as you take that function name, you are actually getting it that, okay, what value needs to be passed over here. Now the value which I need to pass over here is nothing but that is the transaction like the timestamp. So again, if I just take a sheet 1, I can see that there's a column called timestamp. Okay, so you can see, guys, that date time is the column which I need to pass over here. So any column in your data set which is having a date type as date time, that can be passed like over here. Okay, so I can pass it, just close the bracket, and now, guys, let's run it. So we'll get one column over here as R. Okay, now, guys, you can see that now our life become easier because we got the R. Now if any transaction happened between let's say 0 to 5, okay, because in terms of R, guys, if I talk about 12 to 5, it means that over here in that 24-hour rotation, it should be between 0 to 5. Okay, so I just need to again put a condition by using that if function, that if there's any transaction happen between 0 to 5, then that particular transaction should be flagged as a what I can say a fraud. So in that case, guys, again, I can create a new column, and I just need to give any variable name over here. So now, guys, the R is calculated. Now I can give like a new name over here as, let's say, is late night. And I can simply check that if use the function, just put the logical test over here. So sheet, and I want to check in terms of R that if the R is greater than or equals to 0, and then there will be a second condition, guys, because we cannot just move ahead with one condition. If the R is greater than equals to 0, and if the R is less than, okay, so if it is less than or equals to 5, okay, now, guys, my logical test is completed. I can press comma. As soon as I press comma, now again it asks me that what result you want to publish, you want to display if this test is correct. So I want to display 1 if it is correct, else I want to display 0 if it is false. Just close the bracket and your work is done. Okay, so you can see guys that how simple it is. Okay, so just to because there are multiple condition, we just don't have one single condition over here. So since we have a multiple condition, so this time what we have done, we have just taken uh, the AND operator over here. Okay, so this is what we call the AND operator, guys. So this operator is actually used whenever there's a multiple condition. Okay, so whenever there's a multiple condition, we are using let's say the AND operator. So this is what we call the AND operator, guys. Now what this AND operator will do, so this AND operator will make sure that you only get one if both of these conditions are true. Okay, so let's say if any of this condition is false, so because I want that. Okay, so I want that if the transaction is actually happened between those hours, then only I will consider it as I will consider as a fraud. Otherwise, it is normal. So that's the reason, guys. This AND operator is actually working over here. Okay. So AND operator we are using because there are two conditions we are checking. So now if both the conditions are true, then only I will flag it as one, otherwise zero. Okay. Now as soon as I press enter, you'll see that the new column will be created over here. Okay. So now there's a new column, guys, is late night, and you can see, guys, that since the answer is zero, means the R is zero. So we are getting the answer as one. Okay, so wherever it is zero, we will get one. If it is three, also it is one. So three means the transaction happen at like a 3 a.m. Okay, is it clear, guys, to everyone? Yeah, guys.
Sir, why have we used and twice?
No, that's a way that's a we call as a like a kind of a syntax.
Okay, sir.
The single AND operator will not work over here. Like somewhere like in Python also we are using double AND. Double AND means we're just making sure we are just making a comparison. So that's how it works over here also. Yeah, done, guys. Okay. So fine, guys. Then let's here let's take a very small break. I will drink some water and we'll continue in 4 or 5 minutes. Meanwhile, just try to wrap up the things. Let's see. Let's check that did you written all the formulas? Okay, and just cross check that if there's any confusion anywhere. Okay, guys. So yeah, I hope that everything is clear so far. Any doubt or question to anyone? Yeah, guys. Any doubt or any question to anyone? I hope that till this point, DAX is uh, perfectly smooth and easier to understand for everyone. Yep. Okay, now let's move forward and let's try to create some like a tough one, the bit of complex one. So now, guys, the next thing which we need to create, or let's say the next kind of a boundary condition which we can try to create over here is that time difference column, guys. Okay, so time difference column, I think we already discussed that. Let's say between like within 15 to 20 minutes, if there are like more than two transactions happened in a quick time, okay, in a quick like a duration, if the transaction happened in a quick duration, then that particular transaction can also be flagged as a as an invalid one, or as a fraudulent one. Okay, now let's try to first create, guys, that time difference column. Okay, because we don't have any time difference column over here. Okay, so we have this transaction time of like a second, but it's not a time difference column. Okay, so we need to create one a proper table, or sorry, one proper column where we can measure that time. Okay, so like if any transaction happened in a quick like a quick way. So let's say we can try to understand it from the user ID. So let's say if there's a user ID 1018. Now, if this user make a transaction at 8, okay, and within 15 to 20 minutes, okay, so let's say I actually noticed that this particular user make a transaction at 8 3. Now, again at 8:15, I can say that same user make like a transaction. Okay, now in that case, guys, I can call this as a suspicious one. Okay, so in this case, guys, we need to take we need to actually consider two column at a time. Okay, so we need to actually consider the user ID and the timestamp. Okay, both. Okay, because definitely both the columns are actually important over here to make that decision, or to make that time difference like a thing. Okay, so let's see that how we can actually do that. So first I will again click on this new column. Okay, and again, guys, over here there will be a bit more functions. So you again, you need to understand it in a steps to get more clarity about this formula. So I will first give a name to my column. Let's say a time difference, and I want this in a minute. Okay. Now, guys, in order to calculate this time difference thing, okay. So now, guys, on a bigger note, let's say if I ask you that how you can calculate it, so it is nothing but I told you that there's a user 108. He makes some transaction at uh, 8:03, and then he make another transaction at 8:30. Okay. Now, if I want to calculate that gap, so it will be calculated as nothing but 8:13 minus 8:03. Now that will give you the output as 10. Okay. So if if the transaction happened in like in that like a 10 minutes, within a 10 minutes, then I can tag it as a fraudulent one. Okay. So in order to calculate, guys, the difference means in order to subtract two different times. Okay. So we are not subtracting just two numbers. We are subtracting two different times. Okay. So when you need to subtract two different times, so there's a different function for it. So that function is called date a date diff. Okay, so you can see that we have that date add also. That's a function for adding to like a time zone, or to like a dates. Similarly, we have another column as date diff. Now this date diff is actually used to get a difference between two like a different timings. Okay, now I can press tab and use it. Now definitely, guys, inside this I need to pass simply the first date and the second date, and we'll get the time. Okay, we'll get the difference value. Okay, and we can also pass the interval. So interval, guys, is actually required to make sure that how you want to see your output. Okay, so you want to get the output in the minute. So in that interval, you have to mention it. If you want to get the output in a, let's say, second, you have to mention it. Okay, so that is what like the meaning of interval over here. Okay, now guys, I don't now we first need to get this date 1 and date 2. Okay, we don't have that date, we don't have like just like a columns, like two different columns, where in one column we have date 1 and in the second column we have date 2, which I can easily subtract. Okay, we need to actually create this date 1 and date 2 from the same column itself. Okay, so for that, guys, let's see that what we can do. We first need to use a function over here, because now, guys, let me tell you that what is objective over here. So from this column itself, from this timestamp itself, I need to find out, let's say, let me give you this idea one more time, that if 1018, this person make a transaction at 8, and then this person makes a transaction at, let's say, at again 813. So I want to take the max of his transaction time, and then I have to subtract it from the mean of his transaction time. Okay, that's how we can make a difference over here. Okay, so now over here, guys, from these two table, I need to filter out that data. I need to filter out that max, and I need to filter out that mean. Okay, now whenever, guys, you need to filter out something from any column or from any data, we use a function called calculate over here. Okay, so now inside this function, I need to again write the function name itself, because I don't have let's say the automatic, we don't have standard like a date 1 and date 2 column. Okay, so I need to filter out that date 1 and date 2. So now, guys, instead of writing the date 1, because we don't have that any column where I can take the from where I can directly take the date 1, so I will use the function called calculate. Now you can see, guys, that it evaluates an expression in context modified by the filter. So what I need to filter it out, I need to filter. Okay, I will press, guys, shift enter, so that I can move on to the next line. Okay, shift enter if you want to move on to the next line, not enter, shift enter. I can take the max of, okay, I can take the max of what, the transaction time. Okay, so again sheet, and I can select the timestamp over here. Okay, and this transaction time, guys. Okay, once again, yeah, max of transaction time. Okay, and what I need to filter it out is I can use that function as filter itself. Okay, and now inside this, guys, you first need to just pass your sheet name, means your table name. So my table name is sheet 1, and then, guys, now over here I need to filter out based on the user. Okay, so now I have to give that user name over here. So user ID is that column name we have. So because we want to look for the same like a user, so we have taken a user ID. Okay, now if this equals to earlier, again into the sheet 1 user ID. So if both are same, okay, now I can close it and use the expression and. Now, guys, if this time, let's say the transaction time is less than the earlier transaction time, so right now I think the filter bracket has been closed. Then calculate bracket has needs to be sorry, I think yeah, calculate needs to be closed. And then finally, there we now come into the data div. So now, guys, now we actually completed that date 1, and then date 2 is simply going to be our time stamp. column, and that to now we want to mention the interval. Now the interval is minute. So I want my output in a minute. Now I can close it. Okay, so now guys, you can see that yeah, this is like a bit definitely a bit like a complex like a thing we have created over here. Now let me again try to take you go through it. So now guys, my objective is to like to check for any user if there's a multiple transaction happen in a quick time, and for that guys, there's a function we are using as like earlier. Okay, so we are checking that like with respect to the like user ID. Okay, and if that timestamp of user ID is actually like because we have to check guys if it is happening in a quick succession. Okay, if it is not like happening in a quick section, then there's that doesn't any there's no there's no meaning of it. Okay, so you can see guys that if you're creating it, so you're getting that time difference in a minute. So since guys this output is actually coming in a minute, and that's the reason guys this number is actually a bit larger. Okay, so it means that let's say if I talk about this user, so this user guys makes let's say any transaction on 26th of Jan 2025 at this time, and the another transaction guys he made after let's say 2374 minutes. Okay, now if there anywhere if you observe that the transaction happened let's say within like a 15 minute or like a 20 minute, so that will be flagged as let's say what I can say the fraud. Okay, so you can see that there are a lot of blank, but we have 3, 7, 8, 14 also. So definitely these four numbers wherever it is coming, so these four numbers should be considered as a like a suspicious one or the fraud one. Okay, so you can just try to scroll it down and check like definitely somewhere these four numbers will be there. Okay, so like 7 is there. So if I'm getting 7, I can probably try to check that which column is which like value is this. Okay, for which user. So you can see like let's say for this user the transaction is happening in a quick session. Okay, I think I miss it. Okay, maybe it's with someone else. So, okay, let me first open that formula. So, because I think that many of you probably not written it down right now. Okay, yeah. So, guys, you first try to write this formula and make sure, guys, that use a correct bracket, use a correct comma, because if you miss anything over here, then definitely it will be it will make a like a kind of a problem for you to like understand, and definitely you'll get an error. Okay, so this is what happen if when the formula is a bit larger. So we actually make a mistake over there. Okay, so just try to make sure that you should not you should not make any mistake with respect to the comma or maybe the bracket. Okay, so try it out, guys. First write it down, and then again, please let me know. I can take it again, okay? Because I know that maybe a few of you still finding difficulty to understand it. So no issue. I will take it again, but first complete this formula. Make sure that you use a right bracket at a right place along with the comma. Guys, is it completed for everyone? Guys, please acknowledge me once you have completed writing this formula. Yeah, guys, is it done? Anyone? Guys, anyone who can confirm me is it done for you?
Sir, it's giving error for me.
Error.
Yeah, it's formatting issue, I guess.
Uh, okay, just check once. I will otherwise I will help you to write it down. What about others, guys? Anyone who has completed this writing this formula? Okay, great, Parul. Okay, anyone else who have completed it? Lakshmi, Mayuri, Divya, Dipender, Rohit. Okay, Alisha, is it settled in your case, or still giving an error?
It's saying too few arguments to the data
Yeah, that definitely maybe because of that yeah,
bracket.
if maybe miss any comma or bracket.
Okay.
Okay, yes, done, great. So great guys. Now let me take this thing again for you. Okay, so I think maybe if you require to understand it again. Now guys, I hope that you understand if I just try to break it down and take you a step by step like a process. So ultimately guys, let me first tell you that on a higher note that what does this formula will do. So this formula will find the most recent, okay, just try to understand it, more recent early transaction time for the same user ID and then calculates the difference in minutes. Okay, now guys, if I go through the entire formula, okay, so over here there's a function we are using which is called earlier. Okay, can you share the formula here? Yeah, no problem. I can share it in that chat box. So if you look at the formula, guys, over here, if you look at the formula, guys, so we are using something called the earlier. Now, definitely, guys, you can see that there's some blanks are coming. Okay. Now, why these blanks are coming, guys? Because definitely for if I talk about this user, so this user definitely never make any transaction earlier. Okay. Now, this is his first transaction. Okay. So that is what, guys, we are computing over here with the help of earlier. Like we are checking that if like the user ID is actually refers to the same like a row, because over here guys we need to perform something called a row by row calculation. Okay, so we have to check that a user ID of the like a current row. Okay, and then we have to filter out the past transaction of the same user. Okay, so over here that's why we are using a filter. So we are trying to filter out that if there is any past transaction of the same user. Okay, and then guys like over above that we have this max function. So we have max function actually tells you the most recent like a time or most recent transaction of like that particular user. Okay, so now guys over here you got the previous transaction time and then you got the current transaction time, and then you're taking that difference between the two. Okay, so that is what guys we are taking it over here. So let's say let me give you a small like example for it. So let's say that the user one and user one three times. Okay, so let's say there's a user who make three transactions. Okay, now definitely guys like let's say the first transaction time for user one is 10, the second transaction time for the same user is 10:15, and the third transaction time for the same user is 10:45. Okay, now there are three transaction time we have for the same user. Now into the output guys, if I try to calculate it in a minute, so for the first transaction time we'll get blank over there because we don't have any previous data. Okay, so since we don't have any previous data of that particular like a user, so for the first row, for the very first row we'll get a blank. Okay, now when that same user come for the second time, when he makes the transaction at 10:15, now in that case into my output we'll get 15 because he takes 15 minutes for the second transaction. Now the third transaction he made at 10:45. Now third time for the same for the same user, the transaction time will come as let's say 30 minutes, because between 10:15 to 10 like 45 the gap is of 30 minutes. Okay, so that's how guys you are getting like the blanks over here. So blank simply means that there's no the earlier record or the past record of the particular user we have. Okay, so we are getting it blank. Now for this user guys, definitely there's some past record, and we are calculating that the difference between his most recent transaction and the current transaction. Okay, we are checking that how much gap is there. Okay, so that gap is very high. Somewhere the gap is definitely very high, and somewhere the gap is like genuine. Okay, so like 73 minutes. Okay, so that is fine. Like any user can make a transaction in 1 hour. 158, that's also fine. Okay, so somewhere it is too high. Okay, somewhere it is like very close. Okay, and but somewhere wherever it is less than let's say that 15 or 20 minutes, that will be flagged as a like a fraudulent one or the suspicious one. Okay. I hope guys now this is like clear to everyone. You
Can you
can just
please
try to go through it and write it let's say 1 or 2 times from your end, and you'll get more clear understanding. Yeah,
Shivam,
I think someone asking something.
can
Yeah.
you please list out the order of the functions that will be executed?
Order of the function
Order of the
means,
function. So the first I hope maximum function will be executed, and then filter function will be executed, and then calculate will be executed, and then date difference will be executed, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it will go like in that way. I think like I think we have earlier also. So a filter earlier, and then we have max, and then finally there's a date difference.
Okay, first filter will be executed. Okay, so it will identify the repetitive user ID, and then it will find the maximum out of it, correct?
Yeah, correct.
And then it will be comparing the current row's value with that maximum value to find out
And
the
then yeah,
minutes.
correct. And then calculate the difference.
Okay, thank you.
But you got it correct. Great. Okay. So fine guys, now since this is just the row, just sorry, this is actually the column which we want to create for our next boundary. Okay, so since right now we have created, we have completed two boundary condition. Now the third boundary condition is we want to check that if there's any transaction happen between 0 to 20 minute, or in like in that 15-20 minute gap, then I can flag it or I can label it as a fraud. Okay, so now in order to create that, we need this information. Okay, so we actually don't have this information, so that's why we're not able to actually create that boundary condition. Now since we create this information, now we can create our third boundary condition. Okay, so now for creating that third boundary condition, that is again going to be a new column, because for each row I want to check that whether I want to label it as like 1 or 0. Okay, so 1 again means fraud, 0 again means like a normal. So I will again click on this new column. Okay, I will again click on this new column, and then I can now try to create my third bordering condition. Now I will write it as let's say rapid transaction underscore flag. Now we will check if again now we already have the column. Now we don't need to check for anything else. Now guys, but over here there are again two conditions. Okay, so again we have to use and. Okay, so yeah guys, I think first you try it out. Okay, I think now you already have the column. So yeah, first you try it out. I will then write the answer over here. Okay, I guess now I think you guys are very much aware that what needs to be right over here. Okay, you have to take that column name, and then there are just two conditions. So again, you have to use that and operator, and uh, uh, take both the conditions over there. Do it, try it out. Yeah, guys, acknowledge me once you will completed this. Yeah, guys, done. Okay, it's a simple one, I guess. Great, Alicia. Anyone else who has like done it? It's a simple one, guys. You already have that column which needs to be utilized over here. So you can simply take it as sheet one, and that column name we have time difference in minute. I can check that if that value should be less than or equals to 20, or I can simply take it only less than 20. And then again sheet one, and I can check that if this is probably greater than or equals to 0, I will take it as 1, otherwise 0. That's all, that's it. You got a new suspicious new boundary condition over here for again 1 and 0. Okay. So you can see that yeah, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1 and all. Okay. So that's how, guys, you can actually create our third boundary condition. Okay, now guys, I think okay, I think it's already like 8:30, but I think we have started a bit late, so it is fine. We can at least like complete one more boundary condition, and I will take a simpler one, guys, because I think we have already done like enough like complex formulations for today. So I think there's one more boundary condition which we have. So there are two boundary conditions which are left. I will give one for you. Like you can try to check it out. You can definitely use any AI tool to maybe create it. Okay. So that for that the fifth boundary condition is you can try it out by from your end. Now right now I will create a simpler one which is based on the merchant category. Okay. So we actually consider that if there's any transaction happening for the betting app, or let's say for a gaming, then that particular transaction can also be tagged or can also be flagged as a fraud one. Okay. So you can see, guys, that there's a column called merchant category. So over here we don't need to create any new column. So over here we have this column, guys, merchant category. So like where you actually make this transaction. Okay, so you can see that customers actually make the transaction for e-commerce, then customer make a transaction for food and beverages, then customer make a transaction on gaming app. That's the third one. Then healthcare, investment, travel, and utilities. So all the other options are fine. We need to simply check that check that a gaming one. Okay. So wherever there's whenever the transaction is made for the gaming one, so that will be flagged as a again a fraudulent one, or let's say the suspicious one. Okay. So again, guys, it's a simpler one. I can simply try to take it as okay. Or I think, guys, we don't have any like a betting app, betting option over here, so we don't need to care about it. But I will still, guys, write it over here, because let's say that in future, if there are if this kind of a question will arise, that you have to check, let's say, between two things. Okay. So right now we are using that AND operator, let's say let's say for two conditions. But if I want to check that if the transaction is happened for a particular category, okay, for let's say gaming or betting, okay. Now in that case, guys, how we can write that formula over here? So again, guys, the function will be same. That's a if function, we are going to use it over here. So I can write it as let's say gaming flag, and now I can check that if again I can select that column, which is merchant category. Now I can simply check if the merchant category belonging to. So guys, there's a function called in. I can check that. So let's say, guys, if I only check for one category, because in this case we just have like a gaming, like according to the data set. So I can simply write a gaming. Okay. But I want to show you that if there are multiple categories which I want to check in, then I can use this in function. And now inside this, guys, you can actually write as much like categories are there. Okay. So if there are three categories, four categories, five categories. So if there are n number of categories, you can write those n number of categories over here. Okay. So my categories are, let's say, gaming, comma, betting, and close the curly braces. Now the answer will be 1 if the transaction made for any of this category. Otherwise, it will be 0. That's all. Now, if I just press enter, you will see that new column will be created. It's a gaming flag. So if the transaction is made for the gaming app or on the gaming app, then it will be tagged as a fraudulent transaction. Otherwise, I can flag it as label it as a non-fraudulent transaction. Okay. Is it clear, guys, to everyone? Yeah, guys, is it done for everyone? Okay, any doubt, guys, or any questions so far to anyone? Okay then. So now, guys, before wrapping up the session, I just want to show you one last thing. That till now, guys, we have computed or we have created only the columns. Okay, so you can see that we initially have maybe 10 columns only, but now we have added 6 more columns just to satisfy our like boundary conditions. We have added 6 more columns over here, and definitely, guys, then we'll get more information from this like a table or from this data set. Now, guys, these are the columns we have added. But now let me also show you that when we just need to add a measures. Okay. So, guys, measures are actually, I told you that if I want to just want one single output. Okay. So like if I just want to check that how many total transactions have been made. Okay. Or if I want to check, guys, the average of the overall transaction amount. Okay. So if I want to get that one single output, then I can simply, guys, try to create a new measure. Okay. So over here, guys, let's say if I just give you one single example, okay. So before wrapping up the session, if I just want to give you one simple example, so that example, guys, will be nothing but let's say I can click on this new measure, and if I want to calculate, let's assume the average amount or average like a transaction amount. So I can click on this new measure, and then over here I can write it as average, let's say amount. Now over here, guys, if you try to create this into the column, you'll not able to get the suggestion. But now, since we are creating it inside a measure, I will get my suggestion, and I can simply pass that uh, transaction amount over here. And this simply gives you guys the average of a transaction amount. Now, if I run it, you'll see, guys, that a new measure will be created. Okay, so this is a icon or this is a symbol, guys, for the measure. Okay, so even if you try to let's say look after this, if you just try to check that what will be the what is that average transaction amount. So in that case, you can simply try to open the card, and in that card you can try to put this amount. You'll get your output. Okay, so the amount is 1.47 thousand. That's the average transaction amount we have. Okay, so yeah, right now I don't require it. Will I'll let you know that what are all the things we'll require it over here. So yeah, guys, this is again the difference between like where we need to compute the columns and then where we need to compute the single measure. Okay.
So I have a doubt. So here you have included an average amount measure here. So will this affect the structure of the sheet?
No, why it affect the structure of the sheet? It
So
just
will it add
you are
one more column here, or how it is handled?
no, you're just adding the measure over here. You're not adding like one more column. So like inside a Power BI, it actually appear everywhere. Okay, but it's just like one new like a formula. You can say just one like single calculation you have added.
So we can say it as a variable.
Yeah.
Okay. Maintained as a variable in
Sing-
the sheet.
Yeah, that single variable or that single value, that single number you have created.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we move to this table view, it won't be reflected there. Or
No, table view also it will reflect.
reflect.
Yeah. There's no problem to like see this number, but yeah, definitely it's not a part of a column, so you cannot see into the column. So it's not because it's definitely not a column only, just
Yes.
like one single number you have created.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, guys, is that clear to everyone? Like till here, any doubt or any question to anyone?
Shubham, if we have to view the measure, like how can we view it? Like we should, can we just view it only through the visual charts, or
Just click on it. Just click on it. You can see the formula. And if you
okay,
want to see that what value is coming, so I already shown you that you can create a card, and
yeah,
inside that card you can try to add that like
okay, okay, sure.
measure. Okay. Okay, so yeah, guys, I think everything is like cleared so far. I will put this like the file into that same drive link. Just try to refresh it. I think you already created all these formulas, but let's say if someone is not like created it, so you can it definitely try to definitely try to check. Into that drive. Okay, and one more boundary condition, guys, is left that if there's a rapid change in a location within, let's say, 2 hours, so that should also be flagged as a, let's say, the suspicious one. So that is one boundary condition, guys. I leave up to you guys that you should try to like create it by from your end. Okay, so definitely I will take it like tomorrow, but like for practice, you can just try to create that one from your end. Okay, so
Shubham,
fine, guys. That's all for today.
Shubham,
Yeah, I think someone having a
this one,
question.
can we enable macros as well in this?
Macros, I think there's no such option of macros. So like I think we all like we have maybe like different things for that, but there's no such like exactly with the name of macros anything we have over here.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, can you just share the this one cheat sheet of the formulas DAX?
Yeah, that I will share.
Thank you.
You can find it in that same drive link. I will share into the same. Okay, guys. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye. Good night.
Good night.